All right, it is 6:30 and we are going to start right on time. I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight. This is an incredible turnout. Thank you, West St. Paul. My name is Callie Freeman, and I'm one of the founding members of WoW, Women of West St. Paul. This volunteer action organization is made up of women, girls, and non-binary folks. In our mission, we state that we collaborate with the community for a more equitable, just, and progressive place to live. Among our many activities, WOW seeks to support Get Out the Vote campaigns, to increase education around city government, collaborate with allies, and apply our members' experience to make sure all voices are heard. WOW is a controlled burn that will encourage civic growth and a verdant, sustainable future in West St. Paul for all. The Ward 3 Candidate Forum is our first of many efforts to make city government more accessible to West St. Paul residents. It is often hard to find information on local candidates, and even the most beautiful campaign literature cannot tell the whole story. This forum offers an opportunity for us to learn more about the candidates, their policies, and their opinions on local issues. I'm going to give a brief overview of the forum's structure for the benefit of both the candidates and for the audience. I want to all those in attendance tonight, I want to thank you for taking the time to learn more about Ward 3 candidates. And I want to remind you that we are here to listen to what the candidates have to say. Please make sure your phones are off. And I really cannot be more clear about this. I want to make sure that clapping, talking, booing, creating any kind of disruption is not happening at this forum. This is very important. We are here to listen to what folks have to say. If there is disruption, you will be given a warning. If continued disruption, you will be asked to leave. We are very serious about this. This forum is being recorded tonight, and we would like to thank Eddie Chiletti for lending his expertise in creating quality sound recording in this evening's event. And we want to thank Jade Pennig and John Becker for capturing this on camera. We will make this forum available online in the near future. Candidates, we ask that you also respect yourself. Do not cross talk or interrupt while another person is talking. The questions you will be asked tonight were submitted by West St. Paul residents. Tonight, you will be asked several questions which represent the variety of topics that are of interest to the citizens of our city. Our moderators will read the question, and that question will be displayed on the monitor and on a piece of paper in front of you. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond. You, of course, are not required to use this entire time. There will be no opportunity in this iteration of the forum to offer rebuttal time to another's response. You can choose to use your 2 minutes as you wish. Andy Price Morris and Sally Spreeman are our timekeepers this evening. When you have 15 seconds left, they will hold up the 15-second sign. And when you have reached the end of your 2 minutes, they will hold up the stop sign. You are asked to finish your sentence at that time so we may move on to the next question. With each question, we will rotate the person who responds first if anyone else can show up tonight. Candidates will be given 2 minutes to make an opening statement, and if time allows, 2 minutes to make a closing statement. So there are 4 candidates in West St. Paul's Ward 3 primary. In alphabetical order by last name, these candidates are Wendy Berry, Lisa Angsarn, Dave Meisinger, and John Ramsey. Forum coordinator Julie Eastman sent an email to all candidates on July 13th. This email included forum rules as well as an outline of how we would be soliciting questions from the public. We use the League of Women Voters guidelines in all of our preparation in this evening event. And none of the folks that are up here tonight as moderators or introducing are part of Ward 3. John Ramsey was contacted twice and never replied. Candidate Meisinger sent his regrets that he unfortunately had another commitment tonight. We are happy to have candidate Lisa Angsarn with us tonight, so welcome. And candidate Berry was initially going to be at the forum but had to cancel due to a death in her family. She asked that we read the following in her absence, which I will keep under the 2-minute timeline, but warn me if I do not. Dear friends, neighbors, West St. Paul voters, attendees of tonight's event, and those watching online. It is with great disappointment that I am not able to be here tonight to answer all of your questions and respond to your comments and concerns at this incredible forum event. One of the most exciting things to happen since I moved to West St. Paul in 2015 has been the groundswell of political engagement and activism and the support I've received since the pivotal May meeting where I announced I would be running for council. Since then, I have poured my heart and soul into getting my campaign off the ground in anticipation of the August 14th primary, and I'm so thrilled and honored to be running and so energized by the community response. I was very much looking forward to being here tonight, but I'm sorry to report that my dear grandmother has died, and I traveled back to Missouri for a funeral to say our final goodbyes and grieve this incredible loss with my family. She was an amazing woman, and I wish everyone would have had the honor of knowing her. Thank you for your participation in this forum. Thank you to Callie Freeman and Julie Eastman and WoW for putting on this event, and thank you for your support thus far. I hope to answer your questions while I am door knocking, chat with you at Oxendale's while we buy bread together, see you at West St. Paul's upcoming Night to Unite, and especially at the polls on August 14th. Vote in the primary for Ward 3 with the knowledge that together we can make West St. Paul politics more inclusive, diverse, transparent, and forward-thinking. Thank you for your understanding. Wendy Berry. So, again, I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for caring about your local government and wanting to learn more about the candidates. And can we please have right now, when I ask for it, a round of applause for those that are here this evening. Thank you. And with that, let's begin. I'm going to now turn the mic over to our moderators, Julie Eastman and Kelly Billig. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Callie. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So we will continue on with opening statements, and candidate Eng Sarn, you have 2 minutes.
Good evening, West St. Paul residents. It's great to see so many people activated and excited to vote in this primary election. I want to thank the women of West St. Paul for coordinating this event and for recruiting citizens to attend. I also want to thank the city for allowing us to use the council chambers. In April, many of us stepped into these chambers, seeing council that was not representing us. It was in that meeting that I knew I could be a part of changing the culture of the council. West St. Paul is full of opportunity for its residents, and residents deserve a welcoming council that helps deliver a city full of vibrancy, fun, and value. How can I help create that city and that culture as a candidate? I can do that through my experience, my fire, my willingness to collaborate, and my compassion. I can do that through the lessons I learned in listening to constituents for hundreds of hours while working at the state legislature. I can serve you by using my skills as a project manager, understanding the importance of staying on time, on budget, and communicating with all stakeholders along the way. I can do that through the lessons I learned leading a world-class sports team around the country. I can do that through what I know about infrastructure, community energy, community engagement, and marketing. I look forward to your questions this evening, and again, I'm so happy you're all here. I welcome your questions tonight, but know that I am here to represent you. So just as you listen to me tonight, I am, in actuality, running for a position where it is most important that I listen to you. And I will never forget that, should you choose me as your candidate for Ward 3. Thank you all again for your passion.
Thank you. So now we have 10 questions tonight. And the first question, candidate Eng Sarn, is we receive thoughtful questions from the community. I'd like to start with this example from one of our residents. I know that forums often emphasize candidates' stances on issues, but frankly, issues come and go. I'm more concerned whether the candidate has the ability to work for the citizens on all situations that exist now and that arise during their term in office. Keeping that in mind, what makes you qualified to serve on the City Council?
I think that's a great question, and one that I feel like my opening addressed quite a bit. But as I mentioned, I worked at the state legislature for almost 6 years for Senator Jim Metzen, who was a senator for the people of this district. I listened to hundreds and hundreds of hours, sometimes people screaming at me, yelling at me repeatedly on a daily basis. And that's totally fine, because everyone's passionate and cares about West St. Paul and believes in West St. Paul. And I'm a great listener. I can weigh all options. I completely understand that I'm not just up here to push whatever I think the city needs. This is your council, as the mayor says before every council meeting. This is your council. And yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our second question is actually a three-part question. Do you support the River to River Greenway Trail through West St. Paul, including a tunnel under Robert Street? Do you believe the tunnel would be beneficial or detrimental to development? How so?
This is a question that's come up quite a bit recently, and I have done a lot to try and find answers to why it wasn't built, and it's still a little bit unclear to me. And so my personal belief is that a tunnel would benefit the community greatly. We need to connect the trail system. We need to not be we need to not be the ones that prohibit free transportation on bicycle between cities. But I'd like to know why it hasn't happened yet. And as someone new to this process, I would like to get all the stakeholders back together in the room, hear what the original proposed plan is, hear exactly where we are now, and understand better why it hasn't happened so far.
Our next question. How would you, as a council person, help increase participation from underrepresented groups of citizens? And how will you make sure all voices in our city are represented at the table?
I've spoken about this a little bit in my current campaign literature, offering it in multiple languages. 20% of the population here in West St. Paul speaks Spanish, and 13% of the population, it's their born native language. And I think it's important to recognize it. These are citizens of West St. Paul, citizens of the United States of America, and they deserve access to all the information that all of us have. Additionally, we can do better to design and deliver information for people with special needs and people with disabilities. And so if that means reaching out directly to group homes we have here or other disability services and communicating new policy, in meeting people where they are with how they receive communication, we need to do that. So if that's print, if that's Facebook, if that's Twitter, if that's email, if that's I show up to your house and tell you what happened at the city council meeting, we can do that too. Although not everyone has enjoyed me stopping by their homes. I think just meeting people exactly where they are, and what I mean by that is creating communication that communicates with the person, the people and the group that you're trying to deliver it to. Wordy, sorry.
Our fourth question. West St. Paul is a desired location for affordable housing development. What affordable housing projects are the best fit for our city, and how will you work with government, businesses, and nonprofit partners to help make these projects happen?
I believe we have a unique opportunity in West St. Paul. The density that has reached other parts of the city, including St. Paul, Minneapolis, Richfield, other inner ring suburbs, the density has not quite reached us here. And we have some vacant properties, and we have more space than average to build these. And so this means affordable housing for seniors. This means affordable housing for people with disabilities. I think we work with government to assess the exact needs. So the government has statistics and information about what exactly is needed right now, and we can use that information to best build here. Business and nonprofit partners. And nonprofit partners who have the ability to communicate directly with the groups that we would be serving. So I think working with all these various stakeholders, again, to assess needs and assess the property and the ability we have here would be ideal.
Question number 5. As we all know, conflict and disagreements in government is something to be expected. As a public official, how will you productively resolve conflict between yourself, your constituents, city staff, other council members, and the mayor?
This is something I'm all too familiar with. I think the key is being a great listener. Again, it's not necessarily about what I want up here. I'm here to listen, as are the other council members. And when things get heated, I am known in communities to be able to diffuse situations. And whether that's through nodding and showing that you understand and recognizing all the different points of view, and do your best to get to yes, to get to conflict resolution. Let's see. I think just always being a good listener and an active listener, and then also take initiative after concerns are made.
Question 6. As a city council member, you are also a member of the Economic Development Authority. How would you use that role to expand the tax base and diversify business in West St. Paul?
I think, again, having a full inventory of what is available in West St. Paul and what the community wants, and then making decisions based off of those. That information is key. I fancy myself a great communicator, and I'm not doing it super well right now because I'm so nervous. But I have extensive experience in marketing, public relations, and social media management and social media creation. And you can use all these tools to reach new business. You can reach business in Portland, you can reach business in New York City, and you can bring it here. Show what a vibrant, excited community we have here that is willing to get out and spend money, and then use that tax base to improve our city, to improve roads and parks, and make the city hall a more vibrant place for new ideas. All of these things are really important, and I would use my external communication to bring new business here.
Thank you. Question number 7. What's your take on the proposed sales tax that will be on the ballot for West St. Paul voters in November?
I enjoyed the conversation last city council meeting about the proposed sales tax. I feel like the discussion was excellent and provided me a lot of insight into what that would mean for residents of West St. Paul. A 0.5% sales tax would be paid for in 30% by people who don't live here. So people who are coming from the outer suburbs down to St. Paul, spend their money on Robert Street. We capture that money and we improve our city. I would fully support that, but also would be very excited to hear what citizens feel about that. If you feel that it is not within your means or is not breaks your budget, it's important to communicate that. And but I personally would support it. Again, I have legislative experience. There's an added step of legislative approval. As I mentioned, I'm a project manager, which means I'm a professional nagger. So I would be happy to be the one to send the email every day, make the call every day, because that's what's necessary when working with the legislature. Sorry if there's any former members here.
Question 8. As a public official, how will you engage and communicate with all your constituents, even those who disagree with you or didn't vote for you?
I would communicate with them respectfully and honestly, and I would hope that they would do the same with me and for me. We will not always agree, but we have to be respectful. I'm seeing this includes social media communication. We need to be respectful of one another, and I would campaign internally for us to be mindful of how we treat one another, because when you think about fighting with people on the internet, it feels like people are far away, but we're not arguing with Russian bots or, we're arguing with neighbors. And so I think it's really important to be respectful at all times and all costs, even with those who disagree with me or don't vote for me, because that will surely happen. I'm going too fast.
We're fine. Question number 9. What's your position on the Tobacco 21 initiative that would raise the purchase age for tobacco products from 18 to 21?
I am of the understanding that 11 municipalities have passed this so far. We would be the 12th if we went forward with this. I was the legislative assistant to the Business, Industry, and Jobs Committee when the state legislature was passing the smoking ban or not passing the smoking ban. And the main concern I heard from city to city and between Minnesota and Wisconsin was a concern that we would lose money if we passed this and they didn't. And so I would understand that business owners here may be concerned that they would lose money when someone might hop over to Mendota Heights or wherever else to purchase their tobacco. Personally, I do believe we have a responsibility to discourage people from smoking. We lose people to cancer every day, and we need to do all we can to stop that and mitigate that. I would like to hear more about what the community thinks about this, because I know policy-wise how I feel, and I know morally or what have you how I feel about this. But I know how policy discussions go around things like this, and I'd really like to hear more about how the citizens feel.
And we are already at our last question. Question 10. Burning through them here tonight.
Everyone's doing so great. Look at them go.
Yeah. The attention span is great here. Yeah. Okay, question 10. Imagine it is the year 2040, and a local historian is writing about your role on the City Council from 2019 to 2023. How did your vision and action benefit West St. Paul's next generation?
What a beautiful question. Maybe I'll still be here. I would like a historian to write about how my tenacity and fearlessness made West St. Paul better. Senator Metzen used to say before he was elected you could shoot a cannon down Robert Street and you wouldn't hit anyone, and now you might hit a handful of people. And so if I could develop a legacy similar to that, but maybe with more accessible parks and have universal design in mind as we move forward here, so everything we build is accessible to people with disabilities, to older generations, to people who speak on other languages, to people of all genders, that I made West St. Paul better for them and more accessible for them. And also that I was a council member of the people. I really want to reiterate that I am here to listen to you, and although I have opinions and I'm not afraid to speak them, I'm here to listen to you. Thank you.
So now we're ready for closing statements. Candidate Engsarn, could you go first?
I would like someone else to go first. I wrote this today when I was feeling kind of fiery, so it might not match the rest of what I said today. Thank you all again for taking the time to come out and show how much you care about the future of this city. I think it is important to address something that I wasn't sure if I wanted to speak of publicly. I want to make sure that you all know that it was not an easy decision to come here tonight. There has been an effort to intimidate women who speak up in this town. Make no attempt to intimidate me. I have stepped in many times when I see injustice, and this will not be the last time. Listen to me now. Toxic masculinity does exist. It kills women every day. If you are not outraged or aware of these stories, you are not paying attention. Therefore, I ask for your support in another way. When I or any other woman tells you that she does not feel safe, I ask you to support her and believe her. Again, I am strong, but I am not bulletproof. Believe me when I ask for help. Support me when I point out injustice. Be kind to one another. In roller derby, I have been multiple times over voted the hardest hitter in Minnesota, one of the most feared blockers in the game. In my time working for the company My Sister fighting sex trafficking, I stood by survivors as they recovered from the wounds given to them by men who ruled over them through intimidation and threat. When I volunteered as an advocate for rape survivors in the hospital, I stepped up to a police officer who blamed the survivor. In my time at the legislature, I closed a door behind me with a legislator and said, "Don't you ever put your hands on me again." I assure you that I will continue to use my strength to stand up for others, and I ask that you use yours as well. On top of these things, and on a much lighter note, I love creating policy. I have 15 seconds, oh no. And improving existing policy, I love it. I want to see West St. Paul reach its full potential. I've outlined my experience in this discussion today. Oh, really? Please vote for me on August 14th.
I would like to say thank you to all for showing up tonight. So we've reached the end of the forum, and we've been through a lot together, haven't we? I want to thank you, candidate Engsarn, for showing up tonight and joining us here today and sharing your vision and opinions with the citizens of West St. Paul. Audience, can we give our candidate one more round of applause? This is off script for what I was going to say, but I also encourage, I hope that folks understand that we're very serious. WoW is a women's organization, but we are looking to create a stronger city for all of our citizens. And I think you can see that in the questions that we asked tonight. We have a broad concern for what's happening in our city and an interest in what candidates have to say. So I would encourage any other candidates in Ward 3, when you see this online, if you could take the time to share somehow with us some of your opinions and your thoughts on these questions, because they are important to the citizens of West St. Paul. I want to give a sincere thank you to all of our volunteers this evening, to our moderator, Kelly Billig, and most especially our forum coordinator, Julie Eastman, for all of the time and care she put into creating and hosting this event. Thank you so much. And now for everyone in the audience, I want to challenge you all to act. Never is an election more in your hands than a local election. Truly, every vote counts. So vote early or vote on election day. Write a letter to the editor. Talk with local officials. Reach out to candidates. Ask questions. Volunteer and talk with your neighbors. Just talk with them. The primary is 2 weeks from tomorrow, Tuesday, August 14th. We have a bunch of information in the back. The League of Women Voters has some great information in the atrium about voting and upcoming events. Please make sure you check them out. Candidate Engsarn has also put out some of her campaign literature. And with that, I want to say one final thank you. I invite you to head into the atrium to talk with our candidate one-on-one and grab some information as we clean up in here. And you are all invited to Boulevard for some food and drinks and community building following this event. Thank you so much for showing up tonight. We appreciate it, and we're all going to be stronger together. Thank you.